didn't
Yeah.
even know. That's why I didn't get the joke, because I say it all the like people say it all the time here in Germany.
Oh, you're making jokes already. Look at that.
God, I was born for
Fantastic.
this.
Yeah.
I learned something new about my own culture.
Yeah, that's what this podcast is all about. Everybody, to a new exciting episode of the Connected by Language podcast, the only shows that finds the most dedicated language learners out there and tries to learn something new from their craft. I'm your host, Michele, and I'm joined by my co-host,
Michelle.
So, for the people that are joining in for the first time, trying to understand what the hell is going on this podcast, can you maybe give us a little bit of a introduction, where you're from and what languages do you speak?
Of course. So I am Michelle. I'm from Germany, and I speak German, English, French, and Spanish.
Ooh, there's a lot of languages.
It is, yeah. I'm really into languages.
Yeah, I can tell.
And this is also why I work as a language education specialist at Tandem.
Ooh, what is Tandem?
So Tandem is a language exchange app where you can practice languages together with other people from all over the world, either in one-on-one experiences like a chat or a call, but also in group live learning audio rooms, which we call language parties.
Oh, that sounds like a lot of fun. I actually been using Tandem myself to get a little bit of extra Japanese in me, and I'm very excited because I'm going to do the exam, the first exam of the JLPT pretty soon. So hopefully a lot of the great memories that I made on Tandem are gonna pay off. But since I'm here, hi, my name is Michele. I'm from Italy. I know Italian, French, English, and Japanese. And I'm sort of a person that loves to just talk about different cultures and different languages. And I'm always in the mood for finding people with very exciting stories about their language and how to apply their skills. But when you are talking to people from different countries or different cultures or with different languages, there is a lot of things that can go wrong. But what is, in my opinion at least, the hardest thing to do?
What is it?
Like, a lot of, you get your grammar done. That's great. You have your vocabulary. But being funny in a foreign language is so difficult. It is so difficult. And sometimes you try it, it fails, the jokes don't land. But I know some people that have been taking it to the whole new level. Yeah, so what if I told you that we are going to talk with somebody that not only is funny in different languages, not only is funny in its own language, but is a comedian in, I don't even remember how many, like 7 different languages? Yeah.
Wow, impressive.
Exactly. So welcome to the show, Nee Ridge, coming from the UK, a polyglot stand-up comedian. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. And thank you for having me on.
Yes,
Great to be here.
I'm so excited to learn more about how the world of polyglot comedy even works, because I'm going to be very honest. I didn't even know that was a niche to begin with before doing so little research and talking to you before the show. So I'm very excited to see how things are going to turn out and what's the secret behind having to tell the many jokes across different audiences and different languages. So before we start, though, I think it would be pretty nice for you to kind of give a little bit of an introduction about yourself. So can you tell us a bit about your personal journey and what you're all about?
So the best way to describe it is British-born Indian, multilingual comedian, and tax consultant. So you can picture like Rishi Sunak, former prime minister, removing his hairpiece.
Okay.
And then I refund you your VAT if you're English, your Divya if you're French, or your EVA. Yeah.
EVA, okay. I know that one.
Absolutely. I refund you your EVA in Italian, Spanish, or Portuguese.
Yeah.
And all that is equal to the price of my comedy show.
Hey, it's a really nice business system. You give me back the money, I'm going to give that to your shows. It's the circular economy everybody's been talking about these days.
I know. That's why you want a tax consultant as your comedy performer as well.
That is a very good point. But so that's a very interesting set of skills you have there. You got the taxes, you got the comedy, but how did you get into comedy in the first place?
I think it was an increasing set of circumstances. So, for example, my earliest memory of comedy is writing a joke book with my brother because I was good at drawing and he was good at writing. And I used to tell the jokes and he wrote them down. And yeah, we made a really good comedy duo, I imagine.
A little bit of like a manzai style for people that have saw our Japanese episode of the comedy duo. Maybe that's a little bit of a niche reference.
So, what made you want to explore different languages in comedy?
Well, I already knew a bunch of languages, and when I got into comedy, my first language is English, and circumstances just brought me to language comedy. So, for example, in London, there was a French-speaking comedy club called MDR, which stands for Mort de Rire. So, so I got to
That's in Italian.
absolutely, yeah. And I performed 5 minutes of stand-up there, and it was a strange story because I was playing like a British person who wanted to be very French, and and interestingly enough, I just had a feeling that I had to go first up, and it turns out that was absolute right decision because number 5 comedian was doing exactly the same thing, same jokes almost. So he had to discard everything. Yeah. So that was.
So you did the jokes in French, by the way. This was like your first time.
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
It was actually more like the 7th or 8th performance. So it was still very new.
But you already
And
had the ability to make jokes in those languages already, like a little bit pinned down at least.
absolutely, yeah. So I had a bank of French jokes that I'd never told on stage before, but I had prepared. Absolutely.
Okay, I mean, starting from French is definitely very, very difficult. But since you are a little bit of a polyglot comedian nowadays, like how many different languages have you performed in so far, at least?
So it's 10, and usually people ask me to list them, so I will go ahead and do that for you.
Go ahead, we're all open ears.
And this is a memory test of my own as well. So it goes English, then French, Spanish, German, Italian.
Okay. So
We've covered off the major European languages.
the European ones.
Absolutely. Then we've got Portuguese and Dutch.
Wow. Okay, a little bit more niche. Okay.
Did I mention Italian?
Yes,
Yeah,
you
you
did
did.
mention Italian.
I did. Okay, fine.
And it's so
all
good,
right. Yeah.
It has to be mentioned twice because it's such a good language.
Absolutely. Yeah. Actually, I can count it twice because I performed it once in Italy and once in London. So
okay.
Yeah.
A double whammy. Okay, I get it. But
correct.
We're missing how many languages do we miss?
Actually, 3.
We missed 3 languages. So
Sure. So Konkani, which is my mother tongue.
Okay.
Then Hindi, which is Indian language, and Mandarin.
And
wow.
as well. That sounds insane. That sounds so difficult. So like you have so many different languages that you learn and like that you can perform in. So like how do you decide whether to write something directly in that language, or do you like take your stuff in English and translate it instead?
So I typically would write a joke in English and then translate it to another language. And that works mainly for some short jokes, but mainly for narratives and stories. Those are the best ones because you often find yourself telling the same story in different languages anyway.
I see. Like, do you know some jokes that had to be completely rewritten because it wouldn't make sense to other countries?
Absolutely. So, for example, there was this one joke in German, because of the grammatical structure, you just can't translate it into any other language. So, for example, it would be in der deutschen Sprache ist es sehr einfach, das Verb am Ende des Satzes zu
Okay, yeah, I get it.
I need some help here.
vergessen. Ah, ja, vergessen. So, to explain it, it would be in the German language, it is very easy to forget the verb at the end of the sentence. So it sounds like a statement in English, but because how German is framed, you have the verb at the end of the sentence. So the missing word actually is vergessen, which is to forget, and I forgot that word. Accidentally, on purpose, of course.
You did forget verbs. There's no verb.
Exactly.
Okay, I get it now.
And the verb
So
was to forget.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
Exactly. So it might just work in Dutch, I think, but in any other language, I think it is.
Wouldn't work.
It wouldn't work. Yeah.
Okay.
That's
nice.
interesting. That's very interesting.
Or the crowd. Or this is something to. I don't need to finish my sentences. The crowd already know my song, so they fill out the last word almost. You know, that's
Exactly,
hey, I've got such a notoriety. You know, my comedy crowd fills out the rest of my song. Yeah.
That's
Nice.
a crowd work finish a comedian's joke. I think that wouldn't be a
Yeah.
bad thing though, because if it's jokes.
No.
Do you actually find that the same joke hits differently depending on the language or maybe even the culture?
This is an interesting one, and the example I have is, say, for example, I recently got a new car. My instructor says that I should be more of a defensive driver. So now I keep a gun in the glove box.
Oh,
That's a very whoa.
I know, yeah.
It does. It's very defensive. You're right.
Yeah. So the term defensive driver is more common in French, and it's technically, like, I've seen technical translations in Spanish, but no one would ever hear of it. So you have to find a way around it. And I think it was just by chance or that I found that and this phenomenon, strangely enough, is in Spanish and German. So the word for you word it slightly differently, saying that the instructor said I should drive more safely or more securely. So in German, you have sicherer, which can mean both safe and secure. And in Spanish, which is de forma más segura, like in a more safe / secure way.
Yeah.
And because of that little quirk, that's how I'm made to get the jokes work. And the reactions were slightly different because in English it's more direct, in French it works, but in these two it was I think it was more satisfying for me that I'd found a way to work, because if you say defensive driver in German or Spanish, it simply wouldn't hit.
Yeah, like even in Italian, un guidatore difensivo, that it more sounds like you're like a football player, like a
Yeah, exactly.
Car.
There you go. You're making jokes already. Look at that.
I was born for
Fantastic.
this.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, so definitely there's a lot of differences there, so it's very satisfying, because it's the same also when like you're adapting things like movies or like comic books. For example, I read a lot of comic books, and there's like the differences between the Japanese version and the English version, and they have to tweak those things a little bit to make it more sense. So you can't just like go on Google Translate, press the translate button, and have things going. That's impossible. A lot of context gets messed. So that's very, very important, especially when you're doing jokes, but also, translation works in to begin with.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I would highly recommend actually the Asterix series for translating, especially the funny dialogues and jokes, because they do a really good job of translating between English, French, German, and Spanish. It is highly recommended.
Yes. So some professionals they are translating the jokes.
Yeah, it's very hard.
Yeah.
But so this is like a little bit of your rewriting things a little bit slightly. But has there been a time where like you have to completely change a joke because it couldn't just work cross culturally? Like it's impossible without major changes.
So I think the best examples might be even within Latin American Spanish and Spanish from Spain. So I don't think there was a particular expression like if you're learning Spanish from Spain, I'm a contable. In Spanish from Latin America, most countries, it's like a contador, which actually sounds like a lot more of a braver, almost like a matador. I know, it's like contador, like an accountant ready for a fight, yeah. Fists up,
He could be put in like a book for children about the contador and a superhero for them.
Yeah, who sort of has a black cape and a red cloak, and invites the taxman to run into the cloak.
Oh, okay. That sounds like a very fun like comedy show.
I know.
To Netflix.
But the point was, the final point I still have to make is that to get around that linguistic quirk, I came up with soy de contabilidad. Like, I guess it's almost I'm of the accounting profession, but it sounds a bit more natural in both the variants of Spanish. So that's something that's rewritten like cross-culturally within Spanish. And nice example, which actually it was in Italy itself, where it wasn't me performing, but some other Italian comedians. So in a British audience, we would to engage the crowd, we would typically say, make some noise or give us a cheer if, you've ever, had a date on Tinder, or if you've ever received a lousy gift at Christmas, something like that. Whereas in Italy, it was so unexpected, where it was more hands up if you've done something, hands up if you, and you think, oh, I see what you mean, but unless they wanted the rock star effect, hands up if you been on a Tinder date, hands up. But the thing was that the crowd was so polite. They were more sort of, it was more like an auction, like or a classroom. So
I definitely can see it because I've definitely been to other shows as well where people like raise their hands like normally, just because it's we don't really make that much. It's strange because you would think that in Italian places there's a lot of noise, but at least when I've been there, it was a lot more like raise your hands and like and then the kind of like the comedian does the reaction about it, not necessarily the crowd work.
Oh wow. That's quite interesting.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if it applies to every single comedian because I only been to one show a long time ago. So, but it's interesting that this parallel is there because we had a very similar experience.
Is it also that people are super afraid to get involved? Because that's what happens in Germany in comedy shows.
Really?
Like when I go there with friends, they're like, don't go to the front row. I don't want to be like involved or talked at.
That's interesting because I didn't notice it. I think there were definitely people that were very eager. Like a lot of people were like, me, I want to talk about my lousy date or like how much I hate my landlord. But it's interesting. Like, so in Germany, it's like you just the ideal space for a German comedy is to just sit down and watch. Is that it?
I think so, yeah. Maybe it depends on my friend group, but I have observed it in different groups as well. So the
Okay.
front row seats stay like a bit abandoned in the at the yeah.
At least the drinks are good. So let's maybe with a couple of drinks, things can get a little bit looser, or there's not.
I guess so.
Okay.
Mhm.
So yeah, like it's interesting. You've been to so many different places. You had so many different grammar rules applied into comedy, which is we could talk about it a little bit later. But like do you find that learning the humor style of a language not only like teaches you something about the culture that you're living in, but like it teaches you something that the textbooks can never hope to achieve?
Absolutely. So, for example, the French comedy style in France, shall we say, they appreciate more like wordplay, but they also just was looking for short joke or one-liner comedians, we call them in France, and I almost couldn't find any. So most of the comedy style will be narrative or conversational is the best way to describe it. It's a conversation with the crowd, whereas they aren't what you call caramba jokes, or jokes on the back of on a chocolate bar, for example.
Oh, like a little puns,
Yeah.
maybe, or like
Yeah, exactly. Correct.
I see. So
But maybe in high society or parties, they might appreciate like wordplay and humour du second degré, so almost like an underlying meaning of humor. So that's one idea. And then I suppose with one thing which usually helps as well, get an idea of, which gives me a bit of leeway, is to say, oh, I'm Neeraj. It's my first time performing comedy in the language, and if I make a mistake, it's okay. As you say in German, no risk, no fun.
I need a little bit of a translation here because I don't quite get it. So, like,
Oh, okay. We actually don't say no risk, no fun in English, or it's not heard of. Whereas it's a very German expression to say the English, which is no risk, no fun.
Oh, okay.
I didn't even know. That's why I didn't get the joke, because I say it all the people say it all the time here in Germany.
Oh, okay.
Like normal conversations, like
Yeah.
oh really? No risk, no fun.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
I mean, that is a very interesting life lesson for people that are learning languages. No risk, no fun. You gotta risk it and learn some languages.
Yeah.
I guess you can also put it in a humorous polyglot context. It took a while to figure out, but now we're like our brains are getting exploded here. Like,
Yeah.
whoa, that's
Yeah.
what it means.
I learned something new about my own culture.
Yeah.
Mhm.
That's what this podcast is all about, to start
True.
learning about all of the wonders of the language, and we learn something new every day.
So we typically would say nothing ventured, nothing gained, or no pain, no gain. That's a very, very quick one. Or
okay. So if I
when
want
the
to make
going
it
gets
right, next time I say no pain, no gain.
No pain, no gain. That's the word.
yeah, that's a more universal recognized one. Correct.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
I'm trying to think if there's an Italian version of this, but I mean, I guess that's the most closest one is "O la va o la spacca," but it doesn't really mean no pain, no gain. It's more like
Mm.
it either goes or doesn't, and like it's kind of like you either take the risk or you're a bitch, basically. So, but this is more like something that like an athlete or a comedian would do before starting the show, so not necessarily as a joke to like to risk talking to a different language. But I guess it's something similar to that. It's interesting. So many different variances, so many different languages. It's a little bit hard to keep up.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you want to hear a couple more as well?
Sure.
Yes.
So in Spanish, you have it's the equivalent of you snooze, you lose, almost. As in, if you don't take the risk, you don't get the payback. So It's like Cameron que se duerme, se lo lleva la corriente.
We have said this. This
Oh,
is not.
of course.
We have done it in our second episode about Mexico, and we talk about some
Ah.
dreams from there. So that one is a great reference. We already. I was already knew. I knew. I was tapped in.
Yeah.
That's a great
But-
one.
Do you know the one from Argentina as well? I think
Which
it's
one?
Cocodrilos que se duerme es cartera. It's like very.
Oh my god.
So
I
the
haven't
crocodile who sleeps becomes a purse. Or a handbag.
Oh, boy, oh,
That's
boy.
dark humor.
It's interesting.
I know, yeah.
Because like in Spanish languages, you have a lot more, I guess, world building. Like there's characters and actions. Like while in German is more like it's something like you don't do this, don't do that. While in French, in Spanish, it's like, oh, you see this little crocodile? Well, you hope you get attached because that guy, if it doesn't do anything, is gonna turn into a big purse. So it's so there's a lot more. I'm getting attached to this crocodile, man. I don't need to turn into a purse. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Yeah, so don't let the crocodiles sleep. Keep them awake, for heaven's sake.
Wow.
Oh, that's interesting. That's a lot more colorful. I have to admit, I would be more interested to see the Spanish comedy than German comedy. I don't think like this directness is ready for me. But speaking of like changing, there's so many different changes in in styles and tones and languages. Like as performing in different languages, like make you discover something like either new comedic voices or even like entire new sides of your personality that you didn't know you had before.
Absolutely. So, for some reason, in some languages, I've chosen to maintain a British accent in a foreign language. So, je parle comme ça, and it's very. It would be
to French.
exactly, which means I speak like that in English, and it has been. I think that particular episode where I was a British person trying to be French, I had to start off British and just deliver the whole routine in a British accent in French language. However, on the very last like reveal or punchline, I said "Je peux tout à fait passer pour un français." So I can, of course, I can, pass for a French person, something like that. So and that sort of exactly, yeah, because it's a surprise element, yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, you got me fooled. I felt like, why did a French person come into the camera all of a sudden? It's a joke. I cannot see him. So for people who are listening, I can't see him. So yeah, that's interesting. So many different.
Yeah.
And that's like, does that switch up fool the people like in the audience? Because like I don't know if how much of that level of like being that close to the actual French pronunciation can fool people. Like did that work in your own experience?
Because it was literally just the last line, and it was literally 1% that line in French accent and 99% in British accent. I think that's why it worked. But if I did a whole routine in French, so I have done a whole routine in French, but on Zoom comedy during the lockdown years, and I remember this one. I was doing my routine. It was a driving story, and I happened to say "écraser le champignon," which is one way of saying "step on the gas."
Oh.
Champignon. That's
Yeah.
I was about to say already the other one.
Yeah. So someone corrected me by saying, "Isn't it appuyer sur le champignon?" So I got autocorrect in the French comedy show, and I was like, "What is this? Is it like a French class? Are you my teacher or something?"
Could you at least use it for your comedy, like very spontaneously?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'm sure that clip is up somewhere. But it's just goes to show that in a way you can use the comedy audience. They are native speakers, so actually, if something does, if you got, I think, an intermediate level, you can actually ask the crowd, why didn't that work? Did you not understand that? Or because this is what you do in, say, if a British expression doesn't work in the US as well, as in, do you not have that here? Or as in, yeah. So you can use the comedy room to your advantage.
That's very interesting, and being able to also sometimes even clap back at the guy for like some other laughs in a language that you don't speak. That also must be very difficult, you know. Like so that's interesting. That's wow. That's a lot of skills going on, and I mean, I will have to do a lot of translations of screen. So now I'm gonna start up like 6 different languages now just by putting the things on screen. But that's awesome. I love that. I love that.
But how do you actually practice for those routines in different languages? Like, what's the first step or what's the process to do that?
So I could do this from 2 ways. One from literally nothing on paper to the actual stage, or once I've got the routine and then going on stage, because they're 2 distinct stages. So which do you prefer?
But what do you mean by 2 distinct stages?
Oh, okay, sure.
Yeah, like
So
we would love to know more about those 2 stages.
absolutely, yeah, there we go. So the first stage will be writing a set of jokes. So I will put together a Word document and then have, I usually go for about, say, 30 jokes, which is quite a lot, and will then translate all of them into the target language. And then, according to either a native language teacher or a local comedian who speaks the language, then I will narrow down the list, because it's easier to work down and then identify the best list of jokes, which are the most funny, which one have to be discarded. And it simply might be that a reference in, say, for example, Portugal wouldn't be understood, for example. So it could be that.
So you
And
always, wait 1 second, like I have a little question. So you always
yeah,
have to find somebody else to check on your work that specifically is a comedian on that language.
not necessarily a comedian,
Okay.
however,
But a native person nonetheless.
absolutely, yeah. I think that's almost essential, even for languages where I'm, pretty comfortable in. It's beneficial immensely to have the feedback of a native speaker there. Hopefully, who's also into comedy, who's got some kind of comedy instincts, even if they don't perform or even write jokes. If they go to comedy shows regularly, they it's almost like if someone's into rock and roll music, and you're like they don't. I'm learning how to play rock and roll music on the guitar, so even though they might not know how to play rock and roll, they will identify, they'll understand, okay, those rhythms are definitely, that's rock and roll, right? Yeah. So it's a bit like that.
Ooh, okay, so that is the first stage. Like you get the jokes done on a document, you read them,
Yeah.
you proofread them, and then what's the
Yeah.
second stage? Or is there something like that we need to do first?
Okay, so the next stage is, if they work written down, will they work in different areas? So sometimes I would put the jokes on TikTok, actually, with me actually saying the joke and just seeing how many reactions it gets. And there'll be very short jokes, like 15-second segments, and see what reaction I get. It's not an indicator, but it just gives at least, I've performed it somewhere and someone has seen it. So that's a possibility, shall we say. Another way could be as well to send these jokes written down, and this is where Tandem comes in, actually.
Ooh, okay.
Exciting.
So I contact some native speakers, and I'm very direct, as in, I'm a comedian and I'm testing or trying out some jokes. Can I send them to you? And the exchange will be in both English and the other language, like Mandarin or German. Can you see if it works as a joke? Or the thing is, it depends on the question. Is it grammatically correct? Yes. Does it work as a joke? Another question. Is it funny? Does it make you laugh?
Very direct.
Yeah.
I know, you got to pick the right question. So I think,
Yeah.
does it make you laugh is a good acid test. And then you might either get suggestions or, actually, this celebrity isn't well known in Spain, but they are in Mexico. So things like that. And it's it's fascinating. So Tandem has definitely helped in that sense, and it
And it's very
has
interesting because like you are using Tandem as a more like I don't want to say transactional, but like in a way that you already come in, you already say, hey, this is what I'm going to do. It's very like straightforward, because on my end, like how I've been using it a little bit for Japanese, but I've been using it to just have a goof off and like say, hey, like, look what I found. This is like I found this comic in Japanese, and it's like, oh, that's absolute rubbish. I don't know why you're buying that. And then like, but what does this mean? Why are rubbish? And then like we talk about and we talk not only about the language and asking for like, oh, does this make sense, or like what I said was correctly, but also to have a little bit of a conversation and like talk about our different cultures. So it's very interesting to see how many different applications of the Tandem, the classic Tandem, the partner system, like in how many applications you can use. It's a very versatile space for people that are interested in learning languages for any different types of styles. And that's, I think, one of the greatest things about the app.
Absolutely. I just had this idea that we should make maybe a language party with you in it as a comedian, so you can test it with a live audience.
Yeah, you can have multiple people saying multiple jokes in multiple different languages. And
absolutely, yeah. And it did come across my mind whether I should just open up a language party and just here are some jokes I'm reading out. Do they make you laugh? Actually, I'd probably ask them, okay, tell us your feedback, and you'll either hear audio laughs or you will hear polite silence, which is fine. Come on, I've done Zoom comedy hundreds of hours. I mean, it's if expected, and see how it goes. That'd be an interesting experiment. You're right.
Yeah, it would be very nice. So if you're on Tandem and you're looking for some comedy parties, like be on the lookout. You might find a very nice opportunity for learn some comedy in different languages.
And also, talking about the different languages, I would like to know more about your own language learning techniques. So, when you start a new language, do you actually focus more on grammar and vocabulary, or more on how to capture people actually making jokes in that language?
Good question. And I start almost traditionally like any other language learner, which is to pick, learn the basics like grammar, vocabulary, your most frequent words up to about, say, 500. And typically I start off with an online course, about 15 minutes a day on, Udemy is my current platform, but Coursera also works, I believe. And then I would block a whole load, a shed load of one-to-one interactions and lessons with language teachers. I think just powering through all that is, well, works for me most effectively.
It's exhausting
There's so
just thinking about it.
yeah. So then some easier languages like Esperanto, I've maybe needed fewer classes, up to even 5 or 6, whereas Mandarin, that's required up to 120 from memory. It was
Wow.
pretty. It was enjoyable, to be honest. Actually,
Oh yeah, for sure.
absolutely.
Like when you're in the zone and you're just like learning as much as possible about a language, things start to make sense. Yeah, it's difficult because there's so many variables, it's so different, but like that part of your brain that starts to connect the dots is one of the best feelings ever, for sure.
And do you choose a new language because you want to make comedy in it? Or is it that you learn the language first and then you think, oh, now I feel comfortable enough, so I want to make comedy in it too?
Okay, so before I actually even started comedy, I knew to various degrees like 9 languages. So actually, actually, I hadn't learnt a new language in almost 10 years.
Oh my god.
And yeah,
Okay.
so after that, I wanted to just, it's a huge effort to elevate the existing levels in those languages to bring it up to a comfortable comedy level, shall we say.
Wow. I was not expecting that at all. I'm going to be very honest. I thought that it was like a continuous effort to add that into portfolio. I was not expecting 9 languages before comedy.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, before I started comedy, correct.
So like, but okay, because like, so you loved some pretty tough languages, all things considered. Like, I would assume Mandarin would be very difficult, but like, when you're preparing for a new language, if you're of course trying to learn a new language, like, what's your process when you're ready to perform in a new language that you haven't tried before? Is there like a specific process that helps you out?
And in fact, continuing from earlier,
Okay.
Mandarin is the ripe example, because I would say once I'm happy with the jokes, last year I performed in Mandarin and I had the ideal setting, because usually when performing in a foreign language, if there's no German speaking comedy clubs in UK as far as I know. There might be one-offs or things like that where a German performer comes to perform in London, for example, but typically you'd have to go to Germany, so you have to do all the hard work here. However, with Mandarin, there just happened to be a Mandarin speaking comedy club on my doorstep in London.
Oh.
So yeah, and that too, it was bilingual. So I could start off at 100% in English, try all the jokes, and then gradually transition, bring in, more Mandarin content. So it became like 80-20 percent, and then maybe 50-50 after, say, 3 or 4 gigs. And then gradually it became 100% Mandarin and hardly any English content at all, actually. And with that, I was able to like fine tune my my jokes. And exactly the very first gig, I think, I just listening back to it, I got 1 laugh, and it was yeah, no, it was good. It was because I knew exactly what I thought, what I had in my head would work, but what they had reacted to was different. And then I got more used to writing a particular style, and okay, I see where this is going. Plus, interestingly enough, my first Chinese or Mandarin lesson was actually going to the show itself and learning from there. So I didn't understand. I understand zero at that point, and that was one of my jokes as well. So it's it was pretty fun. The joke was that they probably made some fun about me, that kind of thing.
Oh man. But like, because this is a very interesting point about you going to see the performances in different languages, because like, do you think that comedy helps you remember those languages better, or like does it raise the pressure to get everything perfect? Is it
for the languages where you don't have a high level, I think you do have to have a almost rehearse it like a script. However, there's no specific requirement to get it 100% right.
so like the skill ceiling, like to start making a joke in a different language, like how much actual skill in a language do you need to know in order to make one?
I would say the moment that you find a connection or make a joke in class, I think.
Oh, okay.
With a teacher, because you find something which connects with something else, and it might be that it sounds funny in English, or that's a strange idea. So for example, I was just it came to mind just now. So an example of a joke is my Mandarin teacher was asking me, what is this number? And this number is number 6, I believe. Oh, someone's going to pull me up on this. I think this is number 6, which for us is strange because isn't it 2 or 3 maybe? The joke was that, hey, but you can call me, as in like the teacher is asking me out on a date.
It's about the gestures, because in Mandarin they
Yeah,
thing with
correct.
like, because again, me and you, we cannot see it, so it took a little while. But I remember when I did my lesson in I don't remember much about it. There's a different method of counting things with the
Yeah,
That's something that a lot
correct.
of people don't know about when starting Mandarin, and people there are like the European language. So some people might have a context. So yeah, I think it's this one you said that it was 6. Yeah. So this is 6, and I don't remember the full thing. Now I have to also find. I also have to research myself the counting method, because I used to know how to do it, but I kind of also forgot too. So we're both in the same boat.
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay, so I mean, it's not that, like, the ceiling is not that high. Like those type of jokes can be pretty early on. So because
Yeah.
one of the things that I would think of myself, at least if I were to do something similar, would be that I need to know the language very well in order to perform on stage. But it kind of it's not.
This is an interesting point, actually, because I can describe a story you might be very familiar with Cagliari.
Cagliari, yes, I do know.
Yeah.
Cagliari.
So this is in Sardinia, and I went there on a language holiday. So essentially to learn, I had something like maybe 25 to 40 hours of classes in Italian with a teacher locally there. And I saw a comedy club there that I was just going to go to as as an event. And I thought, hold on, I wonder if by the end of this, would I have the actual language level in order to perform in Italian? So what I did was I just subscribed anyway. And, as a backup, if I didn't have the language level, then I could, quietly withdraw from the event, and, it's, 5, 7, 10 minutes. No, they're not going to make any issues, even especially if I just was in the crowd. But it turns out that at the end of the, maybe about 10 hours in, I was starting to really get into the Italian. So I started to pivot my lessons, then hold on, can we change my language lessons so that they're more based on the comedy script? And then let's see if I can perform it at Cagliari. So in the end, I did get to perform, and because comedy there is once a month, one of their open mic shows is actually in a theater with 150 people, and
That's a lot of
that was a pretty solid performance as well. And it just goes to show that you don't have to be fluent in, say, a language in order to perform comedy, just as you don't have to be fluent in Spanish to perform La Bamba, for example.
That's a very, I think a lot of people really would appreciate this sort of talk, because there's a lot of, sometimes people lose confidence whenever like they try
Yeah.
languages, they feel like they're not good enough. And if you can learn like in only like 10 hours to perform in front of 150 people in a little theater in Cagliari, like people are a lot better than you think. Like, this is something that I always say almost every episode. But people, this is a message to people that learn languages. You're a lot better than you think. So just...
Yeah, absolutely. And I would add that I'd already had I'd say a fair like a A2 level of Italian before going there. So I wouldn't claim that just, you can do it in 10 hours, no problem. But I already had a base, to we say, in Italian before I'd performed there.
What I found quite interesting is that you used your language classes to actually prepare the show, that you changed the schedule somehow, or like the content of what your teacher was probably going to teach you. So are there any other like resources or methods that you usually use to prepare for your performances that are not textbooks in that language, for example?
Yeah, so one technique that I find helps a lot is using Tandem app as a tool to, first of all, I come up with, this is nothing comedy related. It's purely, you have maybe some words, new words from your teaching class that you note down, which is quite common. And then I use AI to turn that into a simple, realistic dialogue, which is, say, 30 seconds long. I then put it through the Tandem app, and I message people and ask them if I can practice these, and there'll be short segments. So it's, being courteous of their time, and usually people say yes. And they give, feedback on both the pronunciation, any written feedback as well. And I find that it tests all 4 skills as well: reading, writing, and arithmetic. I was about to say speaking, reading, writing, and
it would be listening.
Listening, yeah.
There was a test. I was like
Yeah.
ready for you to finish. Like, oh wait, where I'm getting tested? Oh,
Yeah.
No. Well, not that
It was a joke.
don't know if
if
it
you
was
were
an.
listening.
Yeah, well, it was an inadvertent joke, but yeah.
I got me. You got me.
Okay. Okay, so that's one of my favorite resources because it reinforces all of those 4 skills. And I also find, this is pretty much in every language learner's tool, any shows in English like episodes of Friends or The Simpsons, which would be widely translated into the target language. That's usually helpful. Also, karaoke or listening to songs in foreign languages. That's pretty common. And even AI apps for conversation that can work, and whether it's ChatGPT or TalkPal, which is one I've found helpful, especially the lesser known languages. So, but I always back that up or with the native speaker on the other side. So that's where Tandem plays its part in that having native or near native language feedback is absolutely fantastic. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely, like priceless in a way.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you have been talking to people in a lot of different languages, even with the situation, committing. But like, which language really did challenge you the most? Like, which one challenged you the most in the pronunciation? And like, how did you manage to kind of like improve and overcome these challenges?
So once again, we can talk about Mandarin, but I wouldn't say that I've mastered or Mandarin, but I'm getting better with the 4 tones. It's a tonal language, so the best way to describe it is when in English you say really, really, really. So you'd use a different tone to indicate a different meaning, which might be surprise, really. Fact checking, really, as in that kind of thing.
In Mandarin, like this changes like a really and really, like they have completely different meanings. That's kind of like the for people that have never learned or never tried to learn Chinese, that's kind of like most of the, at least in the speaking part, the issues there is that you change it from a slight difference and it completely changes the context of the word. So
Absolutely.
it's not as easy as just like conveying emotions. You're just like conveying something completely different. I wish, I think there was like, I mean, I don't have, okay, I'm going to cut it out because I've thought of an example, but I don't remember the meanings. Sorry. I haven't done it in like years, so. But yeah, it's very difficult. It's difficult in the talking part, but also the written part as well, because if you may or may not know, Chinese does not have an alphabet. Every single character has their own little meanings, and they're very difficult to differentiate, so you kind of have to remember all of them. And I mean, but in this case, in comedy, it's not as relevant because you say mostly things with the voice. But for people that are trying to learn Chinese, the writing is also very difficult. It's not just the speaking. Both of them, very hard.
That's interesting you say that, actually, because I learnt Pinyin, which is like a Romanized alphabet of the script, and the other part which is interesting is that the only maybe 1, 2, 3 I could recognize, but the other things I could recognize simply because of the number of people in WeChat groups who comment on it is the symbol for ha ha ha. So I would recognize a ha 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 if I see one. Yeah.
All right. I mean, that's. I mean, as a comedian, that's very important to know. So, exactly again, man. But yeah, like that's because it's similar also to when you're learning Japanese with their kanji system. Like sometimes you see the little kanjis, like, oh, that's the kanji for tamago. Which means egg, by the way, in Japanese. And it's like, oh, yes, this little shape or this other shape. And you realize, wait a minute, that is also similar to watashi, and which means I. So it's always about remembering those, remembering those things. Basically, just like their Pokemon. You just see them, you have to memorize them, you trade them with your friends, especially when you're learning for the first time. Our exercise was be to trade characters that we see. And so definitely is a very unique, very different method of learning compared to your average European language, for sure.
And I found that example quite funny because egg in German, the translation is I. So because you just said it's similar to egg and I, but that's another thing here.
Oh my god!
It could be a trilingual joke or something like that.
So many layers on top of one, man. Crazy people listening at home to kind of get around, but you get to that point. You get to that point where you can understand trilingual jokes, man. This is the show for you. We got trilingual jokes.
Coming closer actually to the end of our questions. So we've got two more for you. Like, did you discover parts of a language, maybe in idioms or the rhythms or everyday humor, that only revealed itself or themselves when you were performing live on stage?
Yeah, so the example I can think of is there's an expression in Spanish which means no tengo ni un duro, which is almost like, I don't have like a single penny or a coin, or, I don't have any money, which it means. But I don't, for some reason, and you just genuinely don't know. Not many people had heard of it, and maybe it is genuinely an expression that it could be from the 1950s or 60s, which
Where did you get it from?
I know, exactly. So my joke was that that's what they say back then, but here's what you could say now, like no tengo ni un euro. So like I don't have a single euro, but you've got to know the original expression in order to know the new expression. So yeah, these idioms, even though it's like textbook, it exists in a textbook, but not on stage. Interestingly, and I don't think this was on stage, but I've always seen it on the internet, this Italian expression, but Italians just generally haven't actually ever confirmed it as that's something we would say.
I'll be the judge of that.
Okay, yeah, let's do this live, bro. So it's called, it's like a motivational phrase, like siccome la casa brucia, riscaldiamoci.
Siccome la cascia, la coscia, you mean like the
Casa, la casa.
Casa brucia.
Brucia.
Honest, I don't think I've ever heard somebody say that. It
exactly
makes sense. Like, yes, if the house is burning, let's heat ourselves up.
Exactly. Yeah.
It is. Yeah. It does reflect, I would say, a little bit of Italian humor, because a lot of, for example, movies, like for example, an Aldo, Giovanni e Giacomo is the first one that comes to mind. They would have a lot of situations like that, where like something very bad happens and they're like pretty nonchalant about it. It's like, entire our economy is destroyed. I might as well like get a cheap burger or something. I don't know. Or save them money, or give since this money is worthless, let's give that to the homeless, because it's like doesn't really. Yeah, that was a little bit bad. I just went in the point, but like. There is that sort of element of taking things that are bad and turning them into somewhat good positions. This specific expression, I think that's a new one, but probably somebody has said that before. I wouldn't be surprised. Maybe it's an original thing. Italy is such a diverse country anyways. Everybody has their own little ways of doing things. So, so I'm going to give it a grade. I'm going to give it a grade for realism. I'm going to give it a 6.5 out of 10. Congratulations.
Oh, excellent. What would make it a 10 out of 10?
I don't know, just screaming curse words. I think that would help.
Okay, as in entering in Neapolitan slang or something.
Yeah, or you could just like, I'm Roman, so different rules altogether, but I think that would get you very far. But coming close to the end of the show, this is the last question.
Sure.
So let's say if someone wanted to like start performing or start storytelling in a foreign language right now, what advice would you give them?
Absolutely. So I would say tell the stories naturally and to friends in your own language, because storytelling is a great skill, and the more you tell stories, and this could be at storytelling open mics where they're very supportive, there's no pressure to make jokes or anything. What will happen is that your brain will start to enter, jokes naturally anyway. So that's when you can start to develop the jokes. and adding the foreign language element, if they wanted to start tomorrow, yeah, for sure. Do I say I would go to an improv class actually as well in your own language? Absolutely, because again, it's a safe space where you can fail and there's no pressure to be funny, but inadvertently things do become funny because of the nature of improv, because it's on the spot, it's live, it's raw, it's exciting, and
Nice.
and
Nice.
and the ability to go on stage as well in front of your classmates or fellow performers. That's always a good idea. And then just the typical things, as in combining languages with something else. So it doesn't have to be comedy yet, but it could be, to learn songs, learn golf in Spanish, go on a pizza class in Italian, things like that. And also seeking feedback as well. So this can tie back to me seeking feedback from the native speakers in Tandem on my jokes, as well as, setting goals for writing a joke. Actually, a low pressure environment is also TikTok. Actually,
Really? No pressure? I would feel scared to do anything on TikTok. I'm gonna be honest, I fear that place.
Oh, well, I found that because people who have because of how TikTok is, it's fairly short attention. Yeah. People don't tend to; they'll just scroll past if it's not interesting enough. That's all it is. So if they'll like it, and if they care enough, they'll leave a comment. So once again, it's feedback still, either way, isn't it?
That is a very good thing, and I think those are very good words to come to a close for our episode. Thank you so much, Nee, for joining this episode.
Thank you so much, Michelle and Michelle. It's been Michele and Michelle.
Yeah,
it's absolute pleasure.
Names. Yeah, one difference.
Yeah.
So yeah, but so if you have a place where people can reach you out in, or you like a channel or a project that you're doing, this is the best time to plug it in, because it will be put in the description of this episode.
Sure. So my comedy profiles are typically @_Nee. Or hold on, let me redo that. My comedy profiles are @Nee_Ridge, spelled RIDGE, or on Twitter, which is @Nee Ridge, NWERIDGE.
Okay, there's a lot of very nice jokes to find there. So you guys better go down below and get some comedy, and hey, give feedback for the next jokes. Maybe you can find some like new jokes that have never been seen before. Ooh. So I don't know why I made it.
Awesome. Or like old jokes like a ghost.
Okay, yeah, we could work with that.
Yeah.
And if any of you wants to try their own joke in a foreign language, I just say no risk, no fun.
No risk, no fun.
Oh, absolutely. Just go for it. Yeah, go for it. Yeah.
Go for it. So again, thank you all so much for watching this episode of the Connected by Language podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, please leave a like, subscribe, follow. And hey, maybe if you have a nice joke in your language that is particularly funny and you want to share into the world, you can put it in the comments. We will be very happy to learn more about the comedy in your own country. But again, thank you so much for watching. I've been your host, Michele, and I've been joined by my co-host,
Michelle.
And I guess we'll see you on the next episode of the Connected by Language podcast. So, bye-bye.
See you.